Did you know that WEIRD Paul Petroskeey started creating content long before YouTube even existed? Yeah, he was making videos on VHS on a camcorder as a young man. Dive with us into the unconventional beginnings of a man who would later become a YouTube personality and lo-fi musician. Born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on the 21st of November 1970, Paul Petroskeey was not your average kid. He was different, he was unique, he was, well, weird. But in the best way possible. From an early age, Paul showed an irresistible pull towards music and content creation. He started writing and recording music as early as 1984. The creative juices flowed through him, leading him to pen or co-author over 700 songs and appear on over 50 released albums. That's quite a feat, isn't it? Paul didn't just limit himself to solo performances, he embraced the power of collaboration, performing in bands such as the Blazing Bulkheads, the Blissful Idiots, and 57 Big End Halos. Each of these groups offered a unique sound, a different vibe, but at the heart of it all was Paul's distinct touch. His journey into content creation was just as fascinating. Before YouTube, before the era of instant video sharing, Paul was creating video content on VHS using a camcorder. He was a pioneer in his own right, exploring a medium that was largely uncharted at the time. In 1987, Paul took a decisive step in his musical journey. He formed his label Rocks and Amp Rolling Records, releasing his first album, In Case of Fire Throw This In, on cassette tape. And to differentiate himself from Weird Al Yankovic, he initially called himself Off the Wall Paul. As we move forward, you'll see how Paul's unconventional beginnings shaped his career, how he navigated the music industry, and how he created a unique space for himself in the world of content creation. From making VHS videos to forming his first bands, WEIRD Paul was already making waves in the creative world. In 1987, WEIRD Paul was not only making music but also decided to take control of his creative output by forming his own label, Rocks and Amp Rolling Records. Unleashing his entrepreneurial spirit, WEIRD Paul took the reins of his musical destiny. Rocks and Amp Rolling Records was more than just a label. It was the manifestation of his desire for creative freedom. This was where he could explore his musicality without bounds, releasing his first album, In Case of Fire Throw This In, on something as retro and tangible as a cassette tape. WEIRD Paul was not just an artist, but a visionary. He understood the importance of building a unique identity in the music industry. In an era where Weird Al Yankovic was already a household name, Paul initially dubbed himself Off the Wall Paul. This was a strategic move, a way to carve out a niche for himself, and avoid being overshadowed by a fellow weird musician. The late 80s were a time of growth for WEIRD Paul. In 1989 he began performing with drummer Manny Thiner. Together they began to shape a sound that was distinctly their own. Their synergy was undeniable, and it wasn't long before they caught the attention of New York record label Homestead Records. In 1991, WEIRD Paul and Manny Thiner signed with Homestead Records. Their collaboration resulted in the release of Low Fidelity, High Anxiety. While the pair weren't picked up for a second album, they took their music on the road, touring the United States to promote their unique sound. It was a time of exploration, of pushing boundaries, and of defining what WEIRD Paul really stood for. Rocks and Amp Rolling Records became the platform for WEIRD Paul to express his unique musical vision, unencumbered by the constraints of mainstream industry expectations. With Rocks and Amp Rolling Records, WEIRD Paul was now ready to conquer the world of music with his unique style. The year was 1991, and WEIRD Paul signed with New York record label Homestead Records. An exciting new chapter was about to begin. The Homestead Records era was a time of exploration and experimentation for WEIRD Paul. It was during this period that he began to really stretch his creative muscles and delve into the world of lo-fi music. This was a time when he was able to take his unique sound and quirky sense of humor and translate them into a full-length album. Together with drummer Manny Thiner, WEIRD Paul released his album Low Fidelity, High Anxiety under the Homestead Records label. This album was a true representation of WEIRD Paul's unconventional style. It was raw, it was quirky, it was everything that fans had come to expect from the musician, and then some. Low Fidelity, High Anxiety was a unique blend of lo-fi sound, coupled with WEIRD Paul's unique lyrical style. Fans were treated to a roller coaster ride of sounds and emotions, as WEIRD Paul took them on a journey through his world of music. But releasing the album was just the beginning. WEIRD Paul and Manny Thiner hit the road to promote Low Fidelity, High Anxiety. They toured across the United States, bringing their unique sound to audiences far and wide. The tour was a chance for Weird Paul to connect with his fans on a more personal level, to share his music and his world with them in a way that he had never done before. The Homestead Records era was not without its challenges, however. Despite the success of Low Fidelity, High Anxiety, Weird Paul and Manny Thiner were not picked up for a second album. This was a setback, but it did not deter Weird Paul. He continued to write and record, to experiment and explore, to push the boundaries of his music. Despite not being picked up for a second album, the Homestead Records era was a significant time for Weird Paul. It was a time of growth and exploration, a time when he was able to take his music to new heights. It was a time that shaped the musician that Weird Paul is today. And for that, it will always hold a special place in his musical journey. Fast forward to the early 2000s and Weird Paul was now the subject of a documentary. A new era dawned on Weird Paul's musical journey as he teamed up with Chicago filmmaker Stacy Goldschmidt. Together they embarked on a 3-year-long project capturing the essence of Weird Paul's lo-fi music and his unconventional path to fame. The result was a masterpiece, Weird Paul, a low-fidelity documentary. Completed in 2005, the film was an intimate portrayal of a musician who had made his mark by consistently defying convention. It was a candid look at Weird Paul's life, his music, and his indomitable spirit. The documentary was not just about the music, it was about the man behind the music. It delved into the person that was Weird Paul, his quirks, his passion, and his dedication to his craft. It was a celebration of an artist who had written or co-written over 700 songs and appeared on over 50 released albums. In April of 2006, the documentary was released to the world. It was a moment of triumph for Weird Paul, a validation of his decades-long journey in the world of music. The film went on to be showcased at film festivals, including the renowned Chicago Underground Film Festival and Leeds International Film Festival. The screenings were a tribute to Weird Paul's enduring spirit and his undying love for music. The audiences saw the man who had formed his label, Rocks and Amp Rolling Records, in 1987, the man who had toured the United States to promote his album, and the man who had been a content creator long before the advent of YouTube. The documentary was more than a film, it was a testament to the power of music and the resilience of an artist. It was a testament to a man who had never given up, who had kept making music, and who had kept being Weird Paul. The documentary was a testament to Weird Paul's dedication to his craft and his unique musical journey. In 2015, Weird Paul wasn't just playing music, he was hosting and starring in his own television series. Yes, you heard that right. This multifaceted artist was not content with just being a lo-fi musician, he sought to conquer the world of television as well, and thus, the Weird Paul Variety Show was born. Broadcast on WEPA-CD in the Pittsburgh area, the Weird Paul Variety Show was a weekly local television series that first aired on June 11, 2015. The show was an amalgamation of Weird Paul's unique humor, his love for music, and his knack for creating engaging content. The show was a testament to Weird Paul's ability to keep his audience entertained. It was a melting pot of musical performances, sketches, and interviews, all presented with that distinct Weird Paul flair. His charisma and charm made the show a hit among his fans, and it garnered a significant following. The Weird Paul Variety Show was not just a platform for Weird Paul to showcase his musical talents, but it was also a space where he could interact with his audience in a more personal way. This direct engagement with his fans made the show feel more intimate and personal, fostering a sense of community among his followers. Critics praised the show for its originality and the authenticity of its host. It was described as a breath of fresh air in the often formulaic world of television. The show's unique blend of humor, music, and offbeat entertainment struck a chord with viewers, making it a local favorite. The show was a testament to Weird Paul's creative versatility. It was not just a TV show, it was an extension of Weird Paul's personality, his creativity, and his love for music and entertainment. It was a unique platform that allowed him to connect with his audience in a whole new way. The Weird Paul Variety Show was yet another feather in Weird Paul's ever-expanding creative cap. It was a clear demonstration of his ability to branch out beyond music and make his mark in the world of television, proving once again that Weird Paul is a force to be reckoned with in the world of entertainment. In 2019, a tribute to Weird Paul's unique career and life was released in the form of a documentary. This documentary, aptly titled, "Will Work for Views: The Lo-Fi Life of Weird Paul," is as unconventional as its subject. It doesn't just chronicle the life of a musician, it delves into the essence of a man who has been relentlessly creating content for over 3 decades. Through the lens of this documentary, we're given a front-row seat to the life of a man who, long before the advent of social media platforms like YouTube, was recording his music and creating videos on a camcorder. This documentary captures the spirit of Weird Paul, a man who was a content creator before the term was coined, a musician who embraced the lo-fi aesthetic before it was mainstream. Will Work for Views is a testament to Weird Paul's dedication to his craft. It presents an unfiltered view of his life, from his early beginnings in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area, to his formation of Rox and Amper Rolling Records in 1987, and his subsequent musical journey. It's a narrative that is as raw and real as the lo-fi music that Weird Paul creates. The documentary also delves into the struggles and triumphs of Weird Paul's career. It underscores his tenacity and his commitment to his unique brand of music, even in the face of adversity. In a world that often values polish and perfection, Weird Paul's lo-fi music and homemade videos are a breath of fresh air. They remind us that authenticity and passion often resonate more deeply than slick production values. The impact of Will Work for Views goes beyond just Weird Paul's fanbase. It serves as an inspiration to aspiring musicians and content creators. It's a tribute that validates the importance of staying true to oneself, of carving out a unique path, and of the power of perseverance. With Will Work for Views, Weird Paul's unconventional creative journey had finally been acknowledged and celebrated. It's a tribute fitting for a man whose life and work are a testament to the power of authenticity, creativity, and sheer will. From making VHS videos to starring in his own documentary, Weird Paul Petroske's journey is truly one for the books. Embarking on this journey through the life of Weird Paul Petrosky, it's clear that he is not just a musician or a YouTube personality, but a trailblazer who has carved out a niche for himself in the world of lo-fi music and content creation. His story is one of persistence, passion, and a unique approach to art that sets him apart. Weird Paul, or Off the Wall Paul as he initially called himself, has been writing and recording music since 1984. His extensive repertoire boasts over 700 songs and appearances on over 50 released albums. From the Blazing Bulkheads to the Weird Paul Rock Band, his music has always been a testament to his creativity and individuality. In the late 80s, he formed his own label, Rox and Amp Rolling Records, and released his first album on cassette tape. This was just the beginning of a career that would see him sign with New York record label Homestead Records and tour the United States to promote his music. But Weird Paul didn't stop at music. He was a content creator long before the era of YouTube, making videos on VHS with a camcorder as a young man. His early adoption of this medium highlighted his forward-thinking approach and his desire to connect with his audience in novel ways. In the early 2000s, his musical journey was documented by Chicago filmmaker Stacy Goldschmidt, culminating in the release of Weird Paul, a low-fidelity documentary. This film showcased his music and gave audiences a glimpse into the man behind the lo-fi sound. Fast forward to 2015, and Weird Paul was hosting and starring in his own local television series, The Weird Paul Variety Show. This platform allowed him to reach a wider audience and further showcase his unique brand of entertainment. The culmination of Weird Paul's career came in the form of a documentary about his life, released in 2019. Titled Will Work for Views, The Lo-Fi Life of Weird Paul, this film was described as a documentary film 30 years in the making. It paid homage to his journey, from his early days making VHS videos to his current status as a lo-fi music legend and YouTube personality. Weird Paul Petroske's journey is a testament to the power of creativity, individuality, and staying true to one's passion. His innovative approach to music and content creation has set him apart in an industry that often values conformity over individuality. His story is a reminder that success isn't always about fitting into a mold, but about carving out your own path and staying true to your vision, no matter how unconventional it may be. Weird Paul Petrosky, a testament to the power of creativity, individuality, and staying true to one's passion. His journey continues and we can't wait to see what he does next.